Hello everybody, my name is Souls Convoy. Sorry for the little hiatus with no vids, but I'm back again with another look at a Legends class release, which is Newage's Shattered Glass Insecticons, otherwise called the Trauma Team, individually named as Boris, Wade, and Kyle. Yeah, this is the first third-party release named Kyle, and I'm not joking. Let's take a look at that box. So let's zoom out. And here you can see regular box and shattered glass shrapnel, a shattered glass kickback, or a shot hole if you're a diacloner, is named Kyle. And then you have Wade, who is shattered glass shrapnel, and Boris, who is shattered glass bombshell. So typical Newage box, and then a picture of them on the back. So let's take a look at these guys. First things first, let's get these out of the way, and we'll bring them in for the robot modes. Let's start with Boris, who's the leader. Nice head sculpt. I love the blue paint on the eyes. I really like the molding of the face mask at this size, or the grill mouth. Really, it's done really well. The rest of him though is kind of bland. I think there's only that yellow is painted, some silver paint, and then these don't seem to match the same shade of red. I'm not really sure what's going on. And then pretty basic though. There's not a lot of things that scream out to you on this toy besides this yellow and the head itself. So he does feel kind of bland. Now we'll take a look at shot hole. So we've got a bit more color separation here. Shot hole, or Kyle, is one of my favorites of the set out of the three. So nice blue paint for the visor, yellow plastic, not bendy, solid. Silver paint on the wings, translucent red, looks like nicely painted green, and then just bare plastic with some yellow highlights. Overall, very simplistic paint decos. Oop. Now let's take a look at this is gonna be Wade. Nice silver right here, right? Nice silver on the face. Really dark blue, darker than shot holes blue for the visor. Face looks kind of stupid though. It does look kind of stupid. His nose is like super tiny. His mouth looks weird. He has these nice metallic blue paint apps on his chest, which really help. Bare yellow plastic, yellow paint, and just bare plastic. So they are very simplistic, but I guess, you know, that is kind of the nature of it. Let's take a look at articulation. They each have like different articulation, so I have to look at each one individually. So for shot hole, you have the head on a swivel. Sadly, it's not on a ball joint, so no up or down. You have universal ball joint shoulders, you can do whatever with. Universal ball joint elbow, which gives you both a bicep swivel and a 90-degree elbow bend. Also, you get a little bit of, well, barely anything. You have a waist swivel, and unfortunately, no ab crunch. It goes the wrong way. Universal ball joint hips that can go, you know, out to the side, 90 degrees, back, forward. Universal ball joint knees that act like a thigh swivel. So, yeah, just ball joints. And then the ankle tilt is on a ball joint, so you get a little bit of up, bit down. You can get more down if you mistransform it. And then for side to side, you get like 10-15 degrees maybe other way too. So not exactly superposable, but you know, they're lightweight, so they can stand pretty well. Not a lot of issues with balance or whatever. See, it just stands on whatever pose. Bombshell, you at least have a ball joint, but you turn and you kind of run into the shoulder pads. So, and you only get like a little bit, like 10 degrees up. The shoulders are on an offset ball joint here, so they go forward, and they have a backwards butterfly motion for transformation. And then there's a hinge joint in the shoulder, which gets you almost 90 degrees out, like 85 degrees. Universal ball joint elbow, and then he does have, the only member of the set to have a wrist swivel. on a mushroom peg. He also has a waist joint, universal ball joint, hips. That'll get you the full range. He has 2 knee joints, which is going to be kind of weird. He has a hinge knee joint here, right? And then he has a ball jointed knee joint inside the knee. So you can technically get like almost a double, but you clash with the bug legs. The one problem with this means is that his thigh swivel is in between his knees. So if you want to use a thigh swivel, this knee is pointless. You have to use the ball joint knee, which is more like a transformation joint, because even though it has a ball joint, once you bend the knee, you can't swivel. You can only swivel here. So it's a bit strange. He doesn't really have a thigh swivel. It's too compromised for me to call it a real thigh swivel, because it only works when it's like, it doesn't work unless it's completely stationary. Then he has a thigh swivel. He doesn't have a conventional ankle tilt. He just has a toe tilt, which is universal. But it works, right? He stands, so he has big, wide legs, so they kind of compensate. Oh, there we go. I'll just stand right back up. So not exactly the most articulated trio. Again, swivel only at the head, which sucks. Universal ball joint shoulders, forward, back, etc. These run hinges, you can do whatever. Universal ball joint. I notice I say universal ball joint a lot in this review. Universal ball joint at the hips. You have a waist swivel. This guy actually has a dedicated thigh swivel, which I'm shocked why Bombshell doesn't, because Bombshell's thighs are actually much larger. So I don't know why this guy got dedicated thigh swivels and Bombshell didn't. 90-degree knee. There's not a double jointed knee there. And then the feet on this guy have a lot of range. They're on a ball joint back here, which means they can go all the way down. They can go a bit up, and then they have like 20 degrees of ankle tilt, so more than kickbacks. So articulation isn't terrible. It's not great. It's definitely among the worst of Newage's roster. I think that their mini bots are actually better with dedicated thigh swivels and wrist swivels, etc., etc. So they're among the worst for sure. You get these 3 energon cubes as accessories, which are made of this weird material. They feel like they stick together, which is kind of cool, I guess, if you're making a diorama or something. I wish they included more. 3 feels a bit lacking. They should have just given you like 20, because the set isn't worth otherwise. Getting into final thoughts immediately. You have 3 accessories. So each guy gets his own gun. You have a very basic pistol for, this is for shrapnel. So this is his, probably it's called like an electro disruptor or something. I forgot what it's called in the G1 cartoon or in the toy bio. But there's his pistol, he holds it, etc. This Tommy gun blaster rifle with the drum is for Kickback. So there's his gun, he holds it just fine. They're all painted silver, by the way. But the paint doesn't seem to chip because it's not super tight fit. And then Bombshell has his beast mode proboscis, or whatever this thing is called, or his bug mode horn, as an accessory, quote unquote. You can like put it in his hands, but I think it looks stupid. At least as a gun, it looks really stupid. But if you put it in from underneath, you can be like, oh, it's like a tonfa or a baton or something, and it looks less stupid, I guess, to me. And it just plugs into like a port inside his chest when you transform him for beast mode. And then since we're doing everything in one take, because I want to do it all in one take, because I don't really care about these guys that much, I'm going to do size comparisons as well. So first let's start with some tiny guys, right? Here is another bug from Newage, Wasp. So you can see that like they're about the same height, but these toys are miles apart in terms of like parts count and like engineering. These guys are like brutally simple next to Wasp. And then let's back out a little bit more, and I'm gonna put in Flack, who's a classic review staple, right? Oop. Yeah, Kickback has really tiny feet, so he falls over easily. And then Dark Blue and Flak. So yeah. And then Core, Bomb Burst, and finally another Beast Former. Newage's Depth Charge. So as you can see, these guys are tiny. They are tiny. They're small. And that's okay. That's how big they're supposed to be, but I do feel they might have been a bit too small. They're about mini bot size, so, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to get them transformed. Be back in a second. After that, final thoughts. Alright, so here they are in their insect modes. Flak, you know, size comparison, they're about yay big. Anyways, the transformations are whatever. They're super uninspired. They're basically like if you've handled the power of the primes Insecticons, like Thrilling 30, Scrapnel, Combiner Wars, Bombshell. Bombshell is almost entirely the same as the Combiner Wars toy. It's just the head flips in and you get like a separate port for the gun, whereas the Combiner Wars one is just attached to the back of his head. But I digress. The transformations are super boring, and they're not really fun. Bombshell and Kickback are super simple. They don't really do anything cool. They just exist. Like the arms fold down, the wings turn around, the legs flip out, these legs flip out. That's it. Head turns around. You know, Shrapnel is actually worse because he's also boring. He just feels less fun to do, and his weapon storage isn't like unique and inspired like Kickback's, but Kickback's weapon storage is needed for his transformation almost. So yeah, they have like zero articulation in these modes. I guess these the pincers on Shrapnel's mode can open and close, and you can like kind of maneuver the legs around, but the more you maneuver the legs around, you're basically transforming it. So not really posable in that sense. And Kickback is also posable, but again, if you pose it, you're like mistransforming it. And this can like go up and down and can't actually turn. So there's not a lot going on. I mean, you don't really get like a lot of, you get this like new silver painted piece to cover his face. His head's right there. These like pop out, which is kind of cool, and you can use them as blasters in robot mode actually. And this guy has poor balance. His back is super heavy and he never really wants to sit properly, so a lot of the time he just does that, which is great. These guys are okay, I guess. They very much just yoga into alt mode. They don't really do anything. Final thoughts. This set is not exactly what I would call a $55 set. They're basically $17 downscaled cores, with slightly more articulation than core class, but not by a mile. So I don't really know if I would look at these in the modern climate and be like, oh, that's $55 for sure. Maybe like 4 years ago, these were revolutionary because they are kind of like perfect for the size 4 years ago. But now, not really. If you need Insecticons, you don't really have a choice, and they're serviceable. Like, they're inoffensively serviceable. They exist, they are Insecticons, they're legend scale, they're cartoon accurate, and they're cartoon colors, like the regular deco. But other than that, they have like no redeeming factors to justify their existence other than like, you need Insecticons, right? They're quaint and like fun, but they are definitely like Insecticons that exist. They don't really do anything on their own merits for me to call it a good toy. Like they're kind of fun to mess with, but even these really simple transformations aren't particularly fun. They just use really boring and contrived transformation techniques that every other toy ever has used, and they're brutally simple to not good toys. Or I guess you could call the Power of the Primes Insecticons decent, or good even if you wanted to. But I mean, they're okay. They exist. If you want them, I get them, I guess, but I can't particularly recommend them at all. If they were like $30 for the three of them, I would say hell yeah, because at $10 a pop, they're definitely worth it. But these are not $18 toys by themselves, and definitely not for a pack of three. $55 is kind of obscene. Maybe if they had like a gazillion Energon cubes, like 20, I would concede, but they don't really feel worth it for the price. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I'll come back with a more fleshed out and probably more intensive review next time of something I care about more. But yeah, I'll catch y'all later. Soulless Convoy, peace out.